Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Math with Audrey. I'm your girl Audrey. I'm the owner of ACG Math Tutoring. And I basically come on here at least once a day, just trying to break down math concepts for you. And you can use these things for GED, you can use it for Accuplacer, you can use it for almost even standardized math if you're currently in math class. And what I do is I go through basic concepts just to get you ready, get you encouraged, so you'll be able to apply it and do very well. All right? So, tonight, as promised, I apologize that I'm late, but when one of my students need me, I drop everything and I get there. Okay? So, it was one of those big ones. So what we're going to do is called matrix multiplication. Now, to do this, I'm going to show you two ways. One way is going to be doing it manually, and the other way, I'm going to use my TI-83 Plus, okay, my graphing calculator. Now, I'm not sure about Desmos, if they have it. It should have it, but Desmos is really not my world. And right now, since most of the assessments is still surrounded by Texas Instrument, TI, I'm just going to show you using the graphic calculator. All right, so this is one of the ones that you're going to have to pay attention. Yes. So I'm not really stalling. I just want to make sure that if you're going to be watching this, you need to watch me step by step, almost like a hawk, right? You're just going to have to watch every movement. So if you come in later, you're going to have to wait until the next problem, or I complete the first problem in order for you to understand what's going to happen. Because there's a lot of movement and you're probably like, oh dear God. Yes. All right. So thanks for coming in. Today is what? The 23rd. Cannot believe that April is almost gone. So insane. Okay. So when you're doing a matrix multiplication, it's completely different from scalar multiplication. Now, scalar multiplication, there's a number that's in front of the matrix, and all you're doing is distributing that number to everything inside of that element, or inside of that matrix. So, but with matrix multiplication, you need to do something first before you tackle it. So the very first thing you need to do, you need to make sure that your matrix, I know I was supposed to spell multiplied. Yeah, I stopped. Okay, you can only multiply them when the number of columns in the first matrix equals the number of rows in the second matrix. That is key. So before you start trying to multiply and add and combine and do all that fun stuff, you always want to make sure you do this first. So for example, we have matrix A. Matrix A is a 2 by 3 matrix, okay? 2 rows, 3 columns. Whereas matrix B has 3 rows and 4 columns. Now this is what they're saying. We want to know if before we multiply that the number of columns in the first, which is the 3, equals the number of rows in the second matrix, which is this 3. If they're exactly the same, that means yes, you can multiply those two matrices together. Now your result is basically these canceled out. Your result is going to be 2 rows and 4 columns. All right. So you're going to see it. I'm going to walk through it. Belinda, you didn't miss much. I just got started. Hey, Joe, welcome in. All right. The real Jen Saunders. Oh, French and Saunders? That'll be awesome. All right. So we're actually just getting started. So you're good. Now, here we go. Like, brace yourself. And if you feel that, just look. Just watch step by step. All right, so we want to find what matrix AB is. If matrix A is 1, -2, 5, -4, okay? And matrix B is 3, -6, 7, -1. All right, so we know that matrix A is a 2 by 2 matrix. Matrix B is also a 2 by 2 matrix because it has 2 rows, 2 columns. 2 rows, 2 columns. So that's telling me I'm looking at the number of columns and I'm comparing it to the number of rows in the other. They're exactly the same. So that means my result is going to be a 2 by 2 matrix. I know, no surprise because all of them are 2s, right? But that's how we figure out what our matrix should be. Now, we're going to do it step by step. I'm getting all my colors together. It's going to look like a kaleidoscope by the end of this thing. All right? It's going to be bright and cheerful. Okay. So we're saying that matrix AB is going to be, we're going to multiply these two together. So we got 1, -2, 5, -4 times, when you do multiplication, you don't have to put a plus or a minus or a multiplication sign in between. It's understood when there's nothing in between the matrices, okay? So you have your 3, -6, 7, -1. All right? So I'm going to have my head down this whole entire time, okay? That's a lot of lives this week. That's okay, Melinda. You're good. Okay. We had a glitch. Okay, we're just going to keep it moving. All right. Right now, this is, it's kind of like linear algebra, but we're going to move on. Now, I'm going to make this, since I know I'm supposed to have a 2 by 2 matrix, I'm going to make this a lot larger. Okay, so I'm going to make this nice and large so we got plenty of room. Now, this is how you do it by hand. We're going to do rows multiply columns. Here we go. We have our first row. Okay? With our first row, we're going to multiply the first row with the first column. So let me show you what's happening. I'm going to take 1 times 3. So I got 1 times 3 plus, because we got to include the first row, second column, okay, -2 times 7. So I'm combining the first row with the first column. I'm going to multiply the first row, first element with the first row, first element. Then I do the first row, second element with the first row, second element. The answer to that is going to be in this first row, first column spot. All right. Now, it's almost like distributive property. So now I'm going to take this first row, and this time I'm going to connect it with my second column. So we're doing first row, okay, again. And I'm going to multiply it by the second column. So this is -6 and a -1. So now our answer for this is going to be in the first row, second column, because I multiplied the first row, second column. All right. Okay. Now, we're done with the first row. So now, we're going to switch colors. Sometimes this orange highlighter is a bit much, but we're going to give it a try. So now, we're going to do first row, or sorry, second row, first column. So that means my answer, I'm going to the second row. So I'm taking my 5 and my -4. So now I'm putting in my first column inside the parenthesis. So you got 3 and 7. So the answer to that is going to be the second row, first column. So now I'm going to do it again. But I'm going to do the second row, second column. So my second row is 5, parenthesis, -4, parenthesis, and what goes inside the parenthesis is my second column. Okay. So since it was the first row, first column, the answer goes in the first row, first column spot. First row, second column goes into the first row, second column spot. Then second row, first column, the answer goes here in the second row, first column spot. And second row, second column will go here in the second row, second column spot. All right, so before I start doing any cleaning up with math, let me take a look to see what's going on in the comments. Well, hello, how are you? Hi, April. Hello, Banks. How are you? I think I answered that. Do you do parentheses first? Okay, so this, we have to set it all up first. Okay, we have to set it up all first. So now, all we have to do, what level of math is this? This is actually Algebra 1. Yep, this is actually Algebra 1. So, now we're going to clean things up. Okay, we're going to get into the whole cleaning. So now we have 1 times 3, that gives me 3. Plus -2 times 7 gives me -14. What's 3 plus -14? This is what I need, y'all. What do we get? All right. Aussie taters. Good. Hey, Gina, hello. Good. Remorse open. Good. -11, -11. Yes. Good. Bagel lovers. Ooh, nice. Okay. I think it's okay, there you go. -11's good. So, in this first row, first column, the element there is going to be -11. Now, we have 1 times -6 gives me -6. Okay, plus -2 times -1 gives me a +2. what should my element for this section be? Where was this 2 tests ago? I don't know. Yes. Good, good, good. I love it. Hello, Braids. How are you? Coretta. Hello. Lex. Slay. Good. -1. Good. Oh, thank you, Mommy. All right. So, yes, we got that -4. Okay. So, the element in that first row, second column is a -4. So, now, let's go to, keep running out of pens. All right. So, we have 5 times 3 gives me 15. Okay, plus -4 times 7 gives me -28. What's 15 minus 28? Good, Alfred. Lovely to see you. The O Crow? Oh, nice. Oh, all Z taters, negative times negative is always going to give you a positive. When you're multiplying and dividing, when the signs are the same, your answer will always be positive. Good. Oh, Theo Crow. Okay. The O Crow. All right. Yes, the O Crow. There you go. All right. So we got -13s, -13s, -13s. Good. So I have -13. That's taking my second row, first column. And now you already know what I'm about to ask, right? So 5 times -6 gives me -30. And then plus -4 times -1, a negative times a negative will give me a positive. So what should go and what should my element be for this one? Okay, so I'm seeing -26, I'm seeing a positive 26. Which one is there? Is there a real application to matrix? We're in a matrix, baby doll. The internet, dude. It's like not to be rude, but yeah, we are in it. Okay? Look at the algorithm. Good gravy. Everything. Yes, -26. As my friends say, are we taking the blue pill or we're taking the red pill, right? I'm not sure if I can't take her thing. That's, we're in it. All right. All right. All right. Well, thank you, Theo. I tried to. So you just found when you multiplied, okay, you found the dimensions as well as the matrix, which is AB. So AB is going to be a 2 by 2 matrix. So you have an idea how big you should make it. So that's going to be -11, -4, -13, and -26. And this is your answer. Okay. All right. So, one way of looking at it, if it's my first row, notice the numbers for my first row are outside the parenthesis. Okay? My columns were inside the parenthesis. Okay? So when I got into the second row, my elements from the second row were outside the parentheses, and the numbers inside were the columns of the second one. So if you want to look at it that way, that will be somewhat helpful. Okay. All right. Hey, how are you? Yes, it's getting all kinds of cray-cray. Thank you. All right. So, let's try it one more time. Step by step. Okay. And let me see if I can change the dimensions up just a hair. So it's not the same old, same old. Okay, let's do this. All right, definitely. Definitely let's connect soon. Because that baby is getting older. Too fast. All right, so here we are. Next example. Okay, so I'm going to say that matrix A, because we know we're multiplying. So we want to find AB. So matrix A, ooh, we have 6, we have 2. Then we have -1 and 3, and 0, and -4. So that'll be matrix A. Let's see what happened over here. Okay. Just taking a little loop. All right, matrix B. We're going to have -1, 2, 5, -2. Okay? And we want to find AB. Okay, we want to find AB. Okay. Now, taking a look, we have, what type of matrix is A? Put it in the chat. What type of matrix is A? What are my dimensions? Okay. 3 by what? 3 by 3? 3 by 2? 2 by 3? Okay, remember, it's going to be your rows, then your columns. Rows, think of movie theaters. Movie theaters, they have rows. Columns, think of the Greek columns going up and down. Okay? So I'm still getting a mixture. I got 3 by 3, 3 by 2, 2 by 3, 2 by 2, 3, okay, replacement of 3 by 2. Now we got 3 by 2. Okay. So we have 3 rows. And we have 2 columns. So we got a 3 by 2 matrix. For matrix B, what's my dimensions? Okay. Good. 2 by 2, 2 by 2. Okay. So we have a 2 by 2. So the way that we can tell, I think Mommy asked us, the way we can tell, we need to look at the number of columns to the number of rows in the other one. If they're exactly the same, yes, we can do that. And then our result is going to be what remains, which is a 3 by 2 matrix. Okay, so our result is going to be a 3 by 2 matrix. So now, let's see if we can figure this out. So it lets me know. Let me make this nice and large. Let me pretend that I'm shrinking. So that means I'm going to have 3 rows. Well, I'm going to take it all the way down. And then I'm going to have 2 columns. So it kind of takes me about this much space. All right. So now we're doing the first row. And if we want, we can kind of shorten it. So it's going to be 6 parentheses plus 2 parentheses, because that's representing my row. And I'm going to do that twice, because remember, we're going to have 2 columns. So I can do 6 parentheses plus 2, parenthesis. What goes inside of these parentheses is first column for 1, and then let's do the second column for the other. All right? So that means here we're going to have -1 and 5, because that's the first column. The second column's over here, because this is the second column of our answer, which gives us 2 and -2. Okay, now I'm going to look up. True. I could do it. I am going to show the calculator. Don't worry. I told you I'm going to do it both ways. We're looking at a word problem. Okay. Took a test on this earlier. Earlier today? How'd you feel, Evan? Feel pretty confident? All right. Okay. So we're going to get all our stuff involved. So now we're looking at the second row. So for the second row, let me go here. For the second row, I'm going to have my -1, parenthesis, plus 3, parenthesis. Then I have my -1, parenthesis, plus 3, parenthesis. Now, what goes inside is going to be my first column, because this is the first column of the answers. So this is a -1. Doesn't really help with the colors. And a 5. Whereas this one is the second column. So again, it's 2, -2. And if you want to cheat, the parentheses, basically what's inside the parentheses is going to repeat. You notice how it's like 2, -2, 2, -2, -1, 5, -1, 5. You can do it that way as well. And now we're going back to the last row, the third row. So we have our 0, parenthesis, plus -4, parenthesis. And I need to get some more colored pens. I had an orange, and I don't know. We'll see if the sky blue can actually do something. Then we have our 0. Okay, that's a nice little color. I don't know if it shows up, though. And then we put our numbers inside. So we have -1, 5, 2, -2. Okay. All right, I'm going to be able to look up now. Tell us, what does this math tell us new to this? Okay, so with the matrices, if you're multiplying, so say that you have different shirt sizes. So if I can go back to the first one. So if I said, okay, I got children's small or extra small, small, medium, and large. And then another store will have, or another section will have, extra small, small, medium, and large. And they want to kind of know, what do we got here for the whole combination of it? So you're basically trying to see what is that combination. Okay. My business math class. Good. Peggy. My class yesterday. My favorite lesson so far. Awesome. All right. Now, let's find our elements. It's so funny. Like, what happened to my music? It's so weird. 1 second. Un moment. All of a sudden, everybody wants to be all kinds of Kookaboo Johnson. Let's see. Skip that. There we go. All right. So, here we go. -6, wrong color pen. 6 times -1 gives me a -6. -6 plus 10, that will give us our 4. Sorry, just want to turn this down just a hair. All right, 6 times 2 gives me 12. Plus 2 times -2 gives me a -4. So 12 minus 4, because I'm a visual person too, that means this element right here is an 8. Then we have our -1 times -1 gives me 1. Plus 3 times 5 gives me 15. 15 plus 1 gives us 16. Then we have, here we go, -1 times 2 gives me -2. 3 times -2 gives me a -6. Negative plus negative gives me a -8. So that's the element for that one. And we're getting down here with 0 times -1, that's 0. -4 times 5, that gives me a -20. So -20, I'm going to fit it down here. That's that element. And 0 times 2, 0. Plus -4 times -2, that gives me a +8. 0 plus 8 will give me 8. Okay, so when we multiply, matrix AB is going to be 4, 8, 16, -8, -20, 8. And it's a 3 by 2 matrix. Okay. All right. Okay. Hey, Janice, how are you? All right. Okay. So we got this. I know it's a lots of movement, but once you figure out the pattern, okay, so like I know whatever the rows are, they're going to be outside, and whatever the columns are, they're going to be inside the parentheses. Now, all right, good. So, with all of this, of course, we can calculate this using a graphing calculator. Now, if I'm going to kind of steal, because that's what we do, I'm going to take a look at that first matrix. I'm just going to hide it out a little bit. So once we get our calculator all set up, let me see if I can zoom. There we go. All right. Let's see if you guys can see it. Move it over. All right. So now, since we're dealing with matrices, if you take a look, you have your math button underneath your math button. You see in yellow where it says matrix. And the only way to get to the yellow sections is if you hit your second button, because your second button is yellow, right? So if I hit second and this button, you're going to have a screen that looks like this. Okay? So this is your matrix screen. And as you can see, I was playing around with some stuff because it's been a minute since I've seen matrices. I'm not going to lie to you. So I was just like, oh yeah, this is how I do it. Okay? So I want to adjust what I'm about to put into my matrix. So I need to arrow over to edit. So I could hit the right arrow a couple times to get to edit, okay. Or I can just hit this left arrow one time, okay? Spoken from a true lazy person. So I'm gonna go to the first one. I'm gonna hit number 1. So matrix A is similar to matrix A that I'm gonna have up here. So I'm gonna type in what type of matrix it is. It's a 2 by 2 matrix. So I would hit 2, enter, and when I hit enter, it goes over to the other one. So I don't have to arrow over. I can hit 2 and arrow over as well, okay? Doesn't matter. Then I'll type the 2 again and hit enter. Now, after a while, you're gonna be like, okay, let me put this in without looking at the screen. And this is why, after you do this, I know, right? After you do this, you're going to start from the very top, first row, first column. That's your 1. So you type in your 1 and then you hit enter and it slides over for you. Okay? Then you have your -2 and hit enter. And then it slides to that next position, second row, first column. Then you type in your 5, hit enter. Type in your -4, hit enter. So all your information is in matrix A right now. Okay? How are we doing so far? Okay? So that's how we plug it in. Now, in order for me to get out of this, I have to hit the second and mode. Second mode will always take you to your home screen. Okay? Some people, I like to go back home just so I make sure that I don't have to retype anything. Again, I'm lazy. All right? So now I'm going to go back to the matrix. So I hit second matrix. Now I need to plug in the information for my B. So I'm not going to go to the first one. I'm going to arrow down to where it says B. Okay, I'm going to hit enter. Well, no, I'm not. I'm going to go to edit. Then I go to number 2. Now I hit enter. And now I'm going to plug in the elements for matrix B. Again, 2 by 2. I type in 3, enter. -6, enter. 7, enter, and -1, enter. Okay, now I'm going back home. Going back home is second mode. Okay, second mode. So from here, we're going to name it and have the calculator do the work for us. I know it seems a lot back and forth, but we're going through this step by step. Once you get used to this and the hang of it, it'll be a lot shorter than doing it this way, especially if you get a crazy matrix that's a 6 by 4. Yeah, it happens, okay? All right, so we're going to go second matrix. This time I'm going to tell the calculator, I want matrix A and matrix B. So I'm just going to hit, when it's under name, I'm going to hit number 1. That's matrix A. Then I go to second matrix again. I go and I can hit number 2 or I can hit arrow and enter. So right now I'm saying I want you to take matrix A and multiply it by matrix B. And how do I know it's going to be multiplication? Because in between A and B, there's no plus or minus sign. None whatsoever. All right. So, whoops. Here we go. There we go. So now all I have to do is hit enter. And there we go. -11, -4, -13, -26. Does that look familiar? Okay. -11, -4, -13, -26. Yeah. Oh, good. Your calculator doesn't have matrix. Is your phone calculator? I was about to say, let me look at my phone, but I'm on my phone. Yeah, so sometimes it gets a bit much. Hello, Banks. You're back. All right. So this is just another way of doing it. All right. So it's not like you can just go and erase. Because if I want to double check it, let's say that I want to do the same thing that I did, but for the second equation that we just did. So again, I go to second matrix. Okay, I'm going over to edit, and I'm going to hit enter for the first one. But this time we have 1, 2, 3 rows. So I'm changing that 2 to a 3. I just type in 3 and enter. And then since the 2 columns is already there, I can just hit enter. Okay. So if the number, like say you're doing multiples of these and that number is already there, you could just hit enter. Okay. So you're telling the calculator that matrix A is a 3 by 2 matrix. And notice how it adjusts. So now, first row, first column, it's a 6. Hit enter, then a 2, a -1, 3, 0, and -4. Make sure you're using the negative sign right here. Do not use the subtraction because you're not subtracting. It's the negative sign. Okay, make sure you're using that because if not, you will get an error. So let me see if I do -4 and I hit enter, what came up? Boom, I got an error. So it's either I can quit, keep it moving, or I can go to what that error is and it will highlight it. And notice it's highlighting the minus sign. Let me put that negative and hit enter. Now it made the adjustment for me. Okay. You do have a TI. Oh, you have a 30. That's why I have an 83. Because I think the TI 30s, they don't have matrices. I have to think about that one. Okay. So we have our matrix A. So I go home, second mode. Now I go back to second matrix, but this time when I edit, I'm going to matrix B. So when I hit enter, matrix B is a 2 by 2 matrix. I already have 2 by 2 in my calculator. So I'm just going to hit enter and enter so I can get right to the matrix. Then I'm going to type in my -1, enter, 2, enter, 5, enter, -2, enter. Okay, so now all my elements are in the spots where they should be. So second mode will take me home. Now, here is another trick. Once you do 1 and you want to multiply your A and your B, you can repeat what you have. If I hit second and the enter button, I just told the calculator, I want you to multiply matrix A and matrix B again. So the last thing that you put into the calculator, if you hit second enter, it will repeat the last thing. Although you've made changes to the elements inside of matrix A and B, the calculator will do it for you. All I have to do is hit enter. And then boom. Notice, I don't have a 2 by 2. Now I have a 3 by 2. I got my 14, my 8, my 16, my -8, my -20, and my 8. And that looks familiar. If I do like this. Okay. All right. So it's just different ways. Different ways. Well, most of the time, and I think especially for GED, they'll probably do a lot with the scalar, not so much with the matrix multiplication. They'll be adding and subtracting, and then you have your scalar. So let's say I wanted to, let's say if I use my A again. And say I want to multiply A by 3. So all I have to do is hit my second enter, and I got the AB, but I don't want the B. I just want A. I can arrow over to the beginning of B, and you see this button right here that says delete. When you hit that, the B is gone. So now you just have matrix A here. And say if you have for the scalar, you just want to multiply matrix A by 3, just put a 3 right down and hit enter. So basically, if I just wanted to multiply everything in matrix A by 3, 3 times 6 will give me 18, 3 times 2 will give me 6, 3 times negative 1 will give me negative 3, 3 times 3 will give me 9, 3 times 0 will give me 0, and 3 times negative 4 will give me negative 12. Didn't we get the same answer? My 18, my 6, my negative 3, my 9, my 0, and my negative 12. Okay? All right? So as long as you understand, if you hit your second and then you see the word matrix, it might be in your apps, I'm not sure. But if you hit second in the matrix, then you can edit and you can keep using A and B if you want to keep changing those. Okay? So this is a TI 83 Plus, the Silver Series. Like I've had this, oh goodness, how many years? I want to say about a good 23, 24 years. And this is when the TI 83 just came out. Plus, it was the TI 83 and then we had the Plus. Yep. Till now. Okay. Are they expensive? Usually like 100. It's around 100. But you can also look into getting some refurbished calculators. You can actually do a search on refurbished calculators, like some used ones, and they'll be a little bit cheaper, Shane. Okay. And I was just talking about this yesterday. Like I wish they had like a system in the schools. So like maybe your seniors that they already took all their math courses, and if they want to like sell their calculators back for less than $100, like maybe $50, or you can do a rental type thing. I don't know. I'm hoping, dreaming. Not a problem. Okay. All right. So we did it both ways. Ooh, look at you, fancy. A backlit 84. And I bet you the graphs are different colors, aren't they? Pog. Okay. All right. Yeah. So it's all like step by step. Okay. All right. Questions on this? Yes, I know. You're all fanцed out, man. Fanцed out. All right. So basically, we have to see. I mean, I know you see it. Let me unzoom so you can really see it. I know you see it that this is completely different from what we were doing yesterday with the scalar. Where is it? Yeah. Okay. So when we had the scalar, let's use this example right here. Oh, maybe not that close. Not that much zoom. Okay, we had this -3. When you have a scalar outside of your matrix like this is how you know the difference. When you have a scalar, this is your scale factor. You want to multiply everything in the matrix by that scale factor. You will definitely see one of these in GED. Sometimes they kind of sneak one in there. But then also you have your addition, okay? And you have your subtraction ones as well, okay? But you'll see something similar to this. So make sure you're seeing brackets, okay? All right, so we know the difference. All right, so now there is another step, okay? Remember system of equations? Do you remember that back in the day? Which was like a few weeks ago. Now, when we're dealing with a system of equations, we can actually break things down by using matrices. And I think someone yesterday mentioned that. And of course, yesterday I was completely brain dead. Like I was done. All right, so let me kind of touch on our brain a little bit. Let me use this side because I don't want to waste anything. All right, so when we did a system of equations, so let me use this. So we have y equals 3x, and then we had 3x, minus y equals 15. Okay, we can solve the way that I know it's a system. We have two equations. Okay, we have two equations. So we want to solve this, and we can solve it by either substitution, which I'm going to say sub, or we can do elimination. Now, how do I know which one should I do? Is by looking at the situation that we're dealing with. This is telling me y equals 3x, right? It's giving me what y should be. So I'm going to take this 3x and I'm going to substitute it in the other equation for y. Okay? So some people saying undefined. Okay, no solution. All right, let's see. So now, if I plug in that 3x, it's going to be, I think you can see it right here. So we have 3x minus the 3x that we substituted for the y, okay, equals 15. So when we have 3x minus 3x, that gives me a 0. And 0 can't equal 15. So what type of lines do we have? Okay, but what type of lines do we have? What's going on? Why is it a no solution? There we go, okay? So that means these two lines are not intersecting. Anytime we get a weird answer like this, that means those two slopes, I think both of them are positive, those two lines, they may be going up and they have the same slope, okay? They're not intersecting at all, okay? So this would be an undefined or a no solution because the two lines are going to be parallel. But what happens if we want to find the solution that has not only two variables, what happens if we want to find it with 3 variables? What? What is she doing to us? Well, since we're here, Let's put it all together. Okay? So when some people, they like to either like keep going by doing substitution, see if you can solve for one variable, and then you can see if you can solve for another variable, and all this kinds of fun stuff, right? But let's say, yeah, I'll do this one. If I can find my pen. So let's say we have, and this gets to be a little advanced though. We'll say we have x minus 2y plus 3z equals 9. Another one will be negative x plus 3y equals negative 4. And the last equation will be 2x minus 5y plus 5z equals 17. Yes, I could. All right. With 3 variables. Yes, I know. Thank you. All right. So, in order for us to figure out what are the values of x, y, and z that is going to accommodate not just one equation, but to accommodate all 3 of those equations. So some people would say, all right, well, if I'm going to do a system of equation, I could like say solve one equation, or I can put one equation against another equation, get it close to, do a little bit of substituting, then, okay, let's see what will cancel out so I can find at least one of my variables. All right, that sounds fair, but that sounds like a lot of work. Again, I'm lazy, all right? So this is when it gets to be a little more advanced, okay? It's all right, Janice. It's going to be a little more advanced. It's fine. Oh, wait. Hold on. Got to do the puzzle piece thing. Oops. Whoops. Okay, cool. Okay. So this is when it differs between general algebra to more of an honors algebra. But it's fine. I'm going to walk you through it, and I bet you're going to be like, ooh, this is not too bad. Because we're actually going to be doing this through the calculator. All right? So, again, we're going to use a matrix. So what we do is we take the coefficients of each of the variables as well as what it equals. So I'm going to put it underneath so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm looking at the first row, first column. In front of that x, it's a 1. In front of the y, it's a negative 2. In front of the z, it's a 3. And then what it equals, which I'm going to put over here, is a 9. Okay, so this is going to be my matrix. Okay, so far so good. Okay, all we're doing is taking the coefficients. So we're basically saying that my first column are going to be my x's. My second column is going to be my y's, and my third column is going to be my z's. Now, second row, here we are. For the x, we have a negative 1. If we don't see anything, it's assumed that it's a negative 1. Okay, yes, go ahead, just watch. Just watch, relax. Yes, you only done, that's what I'm saying, you've only done 2 equations. It's fine, it's okay. So for our x, we have a negative 1. For our y, we have a 3, but we don't have a z. We had xyz for the first. We have an xy for the second. What do you think I could put here for the z? If you could take a guess. Hey, Lisa. Okay. We're solving systems of equations through matrices. There you go. Good. Excellent. So remember, 0 is a placeholder. So if we put a 1 there, we're giving it value. Okay, so right now there is no z for that second row. So let's put something that will hold that place, which is a 0. Good. And it equaled -4. All right, so now third row. Okay, so for third row, what should I write down? Okay, what should I write for my third row? Go ahead, put it in the chat. I think you got it. Okay, so this is like advanced algebra 1. Maybe algebra 2. Maybe like first quarter. Okay. All right, so Misha says 255. Okay, 2, -5, 5, 17. 2, -5, 5, 17. Okay, good. There we go. Nice. So my x is a 2. My y is a -5. My z is a 5. And it equaled 17. All right. So half the trouble is over. You made a matrix from advanced math. Look at you. All right. Should be patting yourself on the back like, ooh, I think I get it. I'm like, all right. So now what we need to do is we need to put this matrix in. Okay. So we're not multiplying it technically to anything. We need to figure out this matrix that's going to give us an answer that's an x, that's a y, and that's a z. Okay? We are looking for those solutions that we can substitute into these, all three of these equations to make that first row equal 9, that second row equal -4, and that third row equal 17. This is when the calculator is going to help us. All right? So we need to plug in our matrix. What type of matrix is this? Put in the chat. What type of matrix? Not including this part. Just the matrix itself. What do we got? Okay. How many rows? How many columns? How many rows? How many columns? Okay. Someone's saying 3 by 3, 3 by 3, 3 by 3, 4 by 3, 3 by 3, 3 by 3, 3 by 4. Oh, you switched it over. Okay. I have the same. Oh, Susan, hey. All right. So I'm seeing 3 by 3s, but you also can include the equals. Okay. So we're going to have 3 rows and 4 columns. I'm going to make the calculator work that I can tell it that this is what it's supposed to equal. Okay, so yes, it will be a 3 by 4 matrix. So here we go. Handy dandy calculator. Let me see if I can do, I'm going to try like this. I think you can see it. All right, so I'm going to hit second matrix. Okay, this is where matrix is right over top of that x raised to the -1, the inverse, right? We're going to edit. So I'm going to arrow over to edit, and I'm going to type in, I just want my first one. So I'm just going to hit enter for the first one. Now, we said it's a 3 by 4 matrix. We already got the 3, so we can hit enter. And we just have to type in the 4 and hit enter. Okay? And we just have to type in the 4 and hit enter. Okay? So the calculator. Okay, you guys still there? All right, here we go. Okay, so now we have our matrix A. So all we're doing is starting with, sorry, all this movement. I'm going to start with the first row. So I type in 1, enter, -2, enter, 3, enter, 9, enter. Okay? I know the calculator can only show like 3 columns, but notice it's got a couple dots on the side, and it automatically shifts for me. So now for the next row, we have a -1. We already have that. Awesome. So I can just hit enter. I got a 3, which is enter. Okay. Got my 0. And then I have to type in my -4, enter. The next row, it's a 2, enter. -5, make sure you're using this one down at the bottom, okay? Not the minus sign, the negative symbol, okay? Enter. 5, enter. 17, enter. Okay? Now, everything, all my information is inside the matrix. Yay. Now, I want to go back home. So that would be my second mode. So it takes me back to the home screen. Now, this is when I'm going to enter into, it's called the reduced row I always say this person's name wrong. Echelon form. Okay. Also known as ref. Ref. Double R E F. Okay. This is what translates our matrix into a system of equation. This is the magic pill. This is the blue pill. I gotta stop saying that because that's my friend's thing. All right. Yeah, I do not. This is the only one I have. I thought you left us. No. No, my battery was kind of going low. All right. So in order for me to get to my ref, I need to go back to my matrix. So second matrix will take me here. I'm going to arrow over where it says math because I'm going to calculate it. Arrow up because I'm lazy. You see where it has for letter B? Whoa. See where it has for letter B? My ref. Make sure it's a double R. Okay? Because we're going to reduce it from a matrix to a system of equation. So I can arrow up to B. Hit enter. All right. Now I'm going to tell them what matrix do I want them to do this magical thing for. So I want you to do it for matrix A. So again, I go back to the matrix, second matrix. I'm going to A, which is number 1. Okay. If you want to close it with the parenthesis, you can. If you want to leave it open, you can. All right, you're going to get the same answer. Okay? Hit enter. And you're probably like, okay, Audrey, I'm seeing a whole bunch of zeros and ones. Yes, that's what you want. You're like, oh my God, it's the matrix. Yes. Again, what pill did you just take? That was creepy. I'm sorry. All right. So the column, remember we have our answers in that fourth column. It was supposed to equal 9, equal -4, equal 17. Our answers for our X and Y's is going to be in that 1, 2, 3, fourth column. So they're saying that my X is going to be 1, my Y is going to be -1, and my Z is going to be 2. So we have 1, -1, and 2. Now, if you think I'm lying, let's plug it in and see if it works. All right? So going back to our original matrix, I'm going to put this off to the side. I'll put it in red. Why not? All right? So my X was 1. So we got 1 minus 2 times my Y, which is -1, plus 3 times my Z, which is 3 times 2. And we want to know, will it equal 9? Well, let's see. We have 1. -2 times -1 gives me a +2. Okay, plus 3 times 2 gives me 6. 2 plus 1, that's 3. 3 plus 6, that does give me a 9. So that works. Let's see if it worked for the second equation. I'll try to put another color. So we have a -x. Our x was a 1 plus 3 times our y. And our y was a -1. And the answer, which we're hoping, that's why I put the question mark over there, we're hoping it's going to equal a -4. So negative times 1, that gives me -1. And a +3 times a -1, that gives me a -3. -1 minus 3, that gives me a -4. That works. Okay. On GED, you won't see this on GED. You won't see this on GED. You probably won't see this on Accuplacer. I just wanted to kind of jump up a little bit. Just a little bit. Learned this in school 20 years ago. Right. I know. But basically, I want to say it probably about 20 years ago, this would have been for GT or Honors Algebra 1. Because every time we did the system, they always added this one component. Whereas the general or the standard one just did system of equations. Okay. So, hey, I know I didn't. I didn't. I got the ones that if they did give us like 3 equations, the first equation was x equals 4. And then all we had to do was every time we saw an x, substitute the 4, and then we just went ahead and solved the other variables. Like that was the major extent that I saw when I was in school, right? I can't believe I remember that. That was multiple moons ago, right? But that's what we had. But when you get into like there is no little lead or there is no x equals 4 or y equals -7, no kind of like little hint like that. This was like honor stuff. All right. There is Lisa, and you can have fun doing that. Because that is that's like a 2, if not a 3-pager, depending on how large you draw. Like if I write at this size, it will probably be like a good 2.5 pages long of notes trying to figure it out. So what you do is you pin one equation against the other. So you could, by looking at this center one, I could either solve it for x, or I could see if I can add it with the top equation, get it down to something, then solve it for x, and then plug it into one of the other equations so I can figure out what x and y is, see if there's something that will cancel out. Yeah, have fun. Because, I have somewhat energy, but compared to last night, not that much. All right. But it is possible. But again, this is like more advanced. But if you were able to put the matrix together, that's like the hardest part, really, other than putting it in the calculator. So kudos to you. Do I learn this in calculus? They do bring it back in calc. At one point, no, they didn't bring it back in calculus. They did bring it back in pre-calc. I remember tutoring someone in pre-calc, and they were bringing that back there. And they also had, because they have AP pre-calculus now, so they threw that in there. And also for Algebra 1, for your GT and honors kids, they see this. Yeah. All right. Okay. That's all right, Joan. But guess what? How'd you feel about it? It's okay. It's okay. I just want you to see that, and to be honest, the reason why I wanted to show this is because you can see that there are certain components that you're learning in the beginning, like system of equations, using other things to help solve. As long as you have the foundation, you can basically do any forms of math. Like, okay, I was helping one of my students. All right, don't freak out. What am I saying? You're going to freak out anyway. All right, so I was helping one of my students because this is something that I haven't done in a while. Oh, you're working on it now? Okay. So this is an example of one of my calculus students. Calculus? No, trig. She's in trig now. And they were doing what was called completing the square. I know, you're looking at it like, what in the world? Okay, but we're basically looking at ellipses. Okay, so we all know the circle, right? We all know what a circle is. But we have certain types of things called the ellipse. Okay, it's like a little oval. It's either going that way, horizontally, or it's going this way, vertically, right? What all of this is to break down our lovely equation using completing the square. We talked about completing the square at one point. And trying to get it into a formula where we can find the center, the vertices, okay, where the distance away from the center, either left to right, or the distance away from the center, either up and down, right? It looks crazy. Haven't seen this since I was a fetus, right? I don't remember this in high school. And of course, they gave it to me 15 minutes before the session is about to start. Yeah, I have 15 minutes to watch an 18-minute video to refresh my memory. Yeah, that was fun. But then it's like all these components, like factoring. Factoring is right here. Doing the GCF of factoring, that's right here. Knowing how to evaluate by plugging numbers in and solving. Also, how to find the perfect squares after we get it down to our factor form. How to do division, okay? And then how to basically follow a formula. But all of that was composed in one problem, okay? So a lot of our basic stuff is still in there. I know it's a lot. I know. I know. It reminds you of polynomials. Yes, it does. Okay, first we had to organize everything, and then we had some factoring, and then we found the perfect squares, and then we had to divide because it has to equal 1. So now everything's divisible. Now we have to figure out what will be my A, what will be my B. Well, whatever the largest number is your A squared. And we have to do some solving in order to find what A is. So that was solving by using square roots. And every time we solve by a square root, we always have plus minus. And a lot of those basic components are married into it. So that's why if I wanted to have that as a toy compared to having this as a shape for something I'm going to buy versus having, try not to let it fall off my desk, this as a shape, it's all based off of the equation to help give me my ellipse. Am I doing a circle or am I don't think I have anything that's really truly oval. Maybe binder clip. Okay. Clip part right here. Why is this shape? Why couldn't it just be straight? Why has it got to be a nice rounded edge? Because this is almost like an ellipse in a way. Okay? So a lot of the things that we take for granted because we're just so used to just seeing it. You know, a container for a candle, hair care products, shampoo, conditioners, the shape of computers. You know, if you're like me, like in the beginning of the school year, I love going supply shopping. I still do it to this day. Because they're like, oh my God, look, a paper clip. It looks like a sandal. And I'm buying it. Like, what the hell? It's a paper clip. But still, I think it's the cutest thing in the world. Right? So, math is constantly, it's its own language. Like, without that, then we can figure out the codes. And once we figure out the codes, then before you know it, you got a calculator, you got a cell phone, you got laptops, you got webcams. Like, hell, the best thing that happened when I was a kid was microwave popcorn. Now people are like, God, the microwave takes so long. Really? Dude, I used to have to shake a pan in order, not even Jiffy Pop. Like, literally, it was like oil, corn, and you just get the youngest kid in the household and you had them shake a pot. Right? And that's what we did for popcorn. None of this microwave popcorn and you get cheesy pops and all that fun stuff. It's crazy. Right? Now we're doing air fryers. Like, that's another thing. So when someone says, why are we doing this? Like, what is the whole purpose of all this? This is how our lives is changing. It just took one person just to see, hey, why don't I divide this by 6 and see what will happen? Boom! All of a sudden, you got the internet. You know? And then all of a sudden, I know, Jiffy Pop. Yes, Chaz. Yes, Jiffy Pop was a luxury. Like, that's when you knew you were bougie for that week. Because, you know, it didn't happen too often. Do you have student teaching advice for math? Student teaching advice? What grade? What grade? Old school popcorn? Yes. Remember the one that had like a curve and it'll pop and the kernels will come out? And you could have that option. This is like when it got really bougie. You have that option to put the butter in the container. And then like while it's heating up, it was melting the butter too. I don't know. Yeah, that was like, yes, the air popper. Yes. And some people had the dome, but we didn't have the dome. Because then you would just pop everything, flip it over, and you just took the thing off. That was fancy. So, student teaching advice, I'm telling you, you just have to learn to stick to your guns and make sure you're fighting for your kids. That's the only advice that I have. Make sure you're always fighting for your kids, especially for me. I'm a big mama bear when it came to my special ed kids because everybody can learn. And if I can teach, and I used to suck at math when I was a kid, let me tell you, anybody can learn math. Anybody can learn it. All right. 11th grade pre-calculus and 8th grade algebra. Woo! That expansion. Who is your school? You're going to do 8th grade algebra and 11th grade pre-calculus. Well, here's my thing. Make sure you have anything that you're about to give to the students, always do yourself. So if you're going to do, like, say, a list of problems like this. Say you pulled something out there. Make sure you do the problems yourself, time yourself, and then if you give it to your kids, if it takes you longer than 20 minutes to do, that means you need to cut down on the amount of problems you give them. Give kids choice. If you give them a problem, like you pull it out, out off of online, and you see there's 14 problems, depending on the kids, depending on the class, you can say, all right, I want you to pick 7. 7 problems they can do. Once it gets around 10 or past 10, their brains is done. Okay? And just be organized. Okay. I was especially in elementary and middle. Yes. It is a huge range. That is a huge range. But always try to stay organized. They're going to try to pull you in so many different sections. But get to know your kids. You don't have to be their friend. Like, trust me, I was a complete itch to my kids. I had older kids. And I was an itch to them until like Christmas. Because my way, I want it done. I want it turned in. I want you to learn responsibility. Okay? Because these kids were all over the place. But by around Christmas, all of a sudden, the kid that was like the worst kid for me and I dreaded was like my best student. Kids just want to be heard, you know? And sometimes you have to have a come to Jesus moment with them. And they appreciate that. The realer you are, the more they'll appreciate. You don't have to suck up to them. I always used to say, guys, you're starting to leave bruises on my butt. You don't need to kiss my butt. Like, no. just do what you're supposed to do and everything's be cool. All right? Cool. But yeah, 8th grade, trust me, they're going to test you. They're going to test you. 11th grade, you're going to look forward to them. But that is a huge range. I don't know if that's going to be your assignment next year. They're probably going to change it, so don't get overly stuck with it. Especially for next year. All right. And if you ever have any more questions, I can probably give you a couple of suggestions to make it a little bit easier and know who to talk to and who not to talk to. Because there's a lot of backstabbers when it comes to the teaching realm. Yeah, can't trust everybody. No problem. But hey, you just go ahead. You can follow me if you ever want and message me if you ever get stuck on anything or if you need any kind of suggestions or maybe even some resources. Keep it simple. Just keep it simple. Because you don't know what the kids are going to be going through, especially the 8th graders. 8th and 11th graders. 11th graders are working hard to find the right college, whereas 8th graders, they're happy to be the king of the hill. And of course, once they get into high school, they will be definitely dropped down a few pegs. That's how they do it, So, but anywho, that's what I have for today. So matrix multiplication, showed you a little bit of this. I might show a little bit more tomorrow. I'm not quite sure yet. But that's how we were doing like system of equations as a matrix. And only thing I need for you, just go ahead, follow me. You can follow me if you like the notebook that I'm basically using. I designed this notebook. Okay, I got sick and tired of my students with their notes all over the place, right? So they can put their formulas in one section. They can put their steps, like the ones that we have tonight. I could have, or I should have, put my steps with the calculator on how to find your matrix. So that can go into the step section, as well as you can do extra practice on the other side. If you have students that are not good with multiplication, I have here a factor chart from 1 all the way to 200. Okay? I know, everyone's like, I know her. Yes. Thanks, Chaz. It's like, buy her book. Thank you so much for the taps, guys. So if anything, it always have all these reminders, like from word problems, the most popular words that you'll see in word problems, the addition, the subtraction, the multiplication and division with the signage. This is going to be huge. Okay. Orders of operation here in the US and also international. Same stuff, but different phrasing. Properties of exponents. I was working with a kid today. Woo! It was fun, but sometimes you just got to tweak their thinking. Then also all the linear stuff, the linear equations and also the quadratics, as well as when we start getting into more advanced stuff, we have the volume and we have surface area. We have area of a sector, arc length, also your Pythagorean theorem, SOHCAHTOA, some of the identities, as well as the unit circle. So I tried to put a lot of the resources. This is really designed for those kids in 7th grade that's doing advanced math, like advanced algebra 1, all the way up to adults. So I really wanted to design it because most notebooks are not designed for our advanced kids. Most things in education is always around elementary, if you haven't noticed it already. A lot of the notebooks, a lot of the resources is all based on elementary. And you're like, well, what about our secondary kids? Like, what about them? So it kind of gives them some responsibility. It kind of gives them some space for some ruling. And as well as you as the teacher, you can kind of keep track of their mood. While they're doing work, take a look. Ask them during instruction. Like when they first come in, hey, circle up. Let's see what you guys are, how you're feeling. It's easier for them to circle than for you to say, so how are you feeling today? Yeah, it's too much, right? It's too much in my face, especially high schoolers. And then ask them in the middle of the lesson as they're working like in groups or something to tell them to circle, and you just walk around to see how they're feeling. And then at the end, when they're looking at the exit ticket, to kind of circle up. So this kind of gives you an idea of how they're feeling with their tracking, because you could have a kid come into your class, got in a full-blown argument with their mom about Pop-Tart. Believe it or not, that has happened in my classroom several times. And then as class was going on, all of a sudden that was kind of weaning away. And then by the end of the class, they're feeling a lot better. This is also good for homeschool parents, so you can keep track of how your kids are feeling about the lesson. And if you keep seeing lesson after lesson and you keep seeing red, 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 it's time for you to have a discussion, right? So it's just those little things. Who teaches math? The only math I understand was geometry. No, geometry's awesome too. Enjoyed watching. Hey, thank you. Yes. So if anything, this is, you can go to, if you click on my profile, you can go to Amazon. I have it linked into my Amazon from my ACG math tutoring website. And if you do have a moment, go ahead, subscribe to my YouTube channel. All of my replays is listed under TikTok replays. I know, replay lives. Go to my YouTube channel, Audrey Codner, ACG Math Tutoring. I put all my replays there. So if you're thinking about, oh, I missed that. I missed so much. I think someone said they missed so much. And I'm like, guess what? Don't worry about it. Go to my YouTube channel. Watch the videos, right? And then my live schedule is all kinds of whacked out. It's all kinds of whacked out. But if you do have time to Google ACG Math Tutoring, if you can write a review, I would greatly appreciate it, because the more activity I have in my Google business, the more it will bring people over to me and the more I'll get some paying customers. Now, I am selling my notes, okay? Again, I'm looking to make sure that I'm putting the videos that's connected to each of the pages to the pages. That's what's taking a little bit longer right now. So I'm going to try to finish those up tonight. With that being said, that will be available soon. Now, I am probably going to put a poll out soon because I'm thinking this summer, there's a lot of people that want to get their GED, but they're afraid of the math. You can go to a community college, and when you go to the community college, I'm going to tell you, the pace of it is going to be quick. You cannot learn a whole Algebra 1, geometry, and statistics in like 4 to 7 weeks. It's not possible. I'm sorry, it's not. So I was thinking, since you guys know my teaching style, if you don't, just keep watching the videos. I was thinking about starting in June, like having my own, because I've taught the GED course before, and having my own GED math course for anybody that's interested. If you think that's a good idea, I'm going to probably put a poll out next class or next meeting, or it might even be a live recording. I really want to know if that's going to be something that you guys really could benefit from. If not the GED, AccuPlacer. If not AccuPlacer, ASVAT. Now, I'll just do the math, but I do have some other resources that you can go to for the other piece of the ASVAT. So if you need that, that'll be awesome. Yes, math is infinite. So I just really want to figure out ways, and this is me. I always want to find ways to help people to achieve their goals. I don't want math to be the reason why you don't move forward. I don't want that to happen to you. I believe that everyone has greatness, everyone has purpose in this life. And I know there's times that you're just like, yeah, Audrey, you're full of crap. But I'm going to be truthful to you. I'm not. You know, I took an enema. I'm good. No, I'm just kidding. But for the most part, it's just like we see the bad in ourselves, but we see the good in others. Why not just take a moment to flip that around, or to make sure that you see the good in you? And I don't want math to be the source of why I feel stuck. And no, let someone that can break the concepts down, put it in ways that you can understand, that is going to be directed towards test taking, not so much just learning, because that's the problem. You guys are trying to learn it while do it, and it gets overwhelming. Okay, good. I'm telling you, hey, because I used to work at what we call it baby bookings. So it's the juvenile detention center here in Baltimore. Just in case you didn't know, I'm in Baltimore, Maryland. And I was there for 13 months. And I'm going to tell you, those young men, for those 13 months, I learned how to be a good teacher. Like, I was good, but I was really good when I was there, because shoot, everything was a weapon. This pencil, weapon. Highlighter, weapon. Okay. But I respected the young men, and I saw a side to them, and they're probably finessing me, but I saw a side to them that a lot of people didn't get an opportunity to see. And I had public enemy number one. Like, he was never going to get out, ever. He was just buying his time there until they send him, as we said, to big boy jail. Yes. Oh, you did? Yes, I'm telling you. Because you have all of that time and that attention. And I mean, like, I had public enemy number one passing out papers in my classroom. Like, things that people said, Miss Audrey, why are you doing that? You know, the kids are just going to rip it down. They're not going to care about that. Like, I had word walls up. I was like, I want to celebrate your birthday. I would ask people like, can I bring snacks for the kids? And I mean, sometimes they did something on the down low. I probably snitched on myself, but I'm not there anymore. But whatever I did for the kids, I had to make sure I did for the officers too. You know, you got to play that role, right? And when they did their work and they paid attention, I had 7 kids got their GEDs when I was there. Nobody was getting their GEDs. Nobody was going after a GED before I got there. Then I got this one kid, and he was like, top dog, if you know what I'm saying. Like he basically ran it. Okay? And whatever he said was law. And when he got his GED, they have a little graduation. And he literally said, if you want to get your GED, you better see. Well, my last name was Gibson. He's like, you better go see Gibby because she knows her stuff. It's not Gibson anymore. It's when I was married. He's like, you better go see Gibby. Next thing you know, yo, Gibby, yo, I want to get that GED. Yo, want to get that GED because I can't go back to the school. I can't go back. But I want to get this. I want to get this. And all of a sudden it was like, all right, let's go. I was like, you got to pay attention to this. You got to do this. You can't be doing that. Are you ready to go? Yeah. Who else is with him? He's like, oh, I wanted to. I wanted to. And just before I left, because we had the most kids getting their GEDs, guess what they did? They stopped the program. They stopped the program. I was so hurt, but I was so happy that a lot of people were getting their GED. But unfortunately, some of them went to big boy jail. I have no idea what happened to them. Some of them did get out, and they found me. I was walking down the street. All of a sudden, this guy was walking up to me. I was ready to bank him in his face. And all of a sudden, he was like, all of a sudden smiled, and then you could see the little boy expression in his face. I'm like, oh, hey! Gave him a hug. And it was the best hug because you can't hug them there. When you're a high school teacher, you can hug your kids. You can high five them. I remember this one school, I had this one trans gentleman, and he can only, or she, sorry. She can only dress the way she wanted to dress at school. She couldn't do it at home. And this is before the COVID happened. And I would see her every morning. And she would like, I'm ready. I'm like, you ready, girl? She's like, yeah. And I would play some music and she would walk down like it was a runway every morning. It made her day. Every single solitary day. That's the type of teacher I was. I didn't care. I had a next door teacher. She's like, why is he doing that? I'm like, why is she doing that? Because she feels comfortable. And then now she can do what she needs to do in school. And those are the things I did. Was it right? Was it wrong? I didn't care. I made sure that my kids were okay. I want to always make sure that my kids were fine. But then when I couldn't take being in the classroom any longer, I got sick of the meetings about the emails about the meetings. I was like, if I have another meeting that could have been an email or an email that could have been about a meeting, I'm going to lose my mind. And then, kids graduate. I go to graduations. And then this one year, I lost 3 students. 2 of them were student athletes. And one, they unalived them. No, 2 of them unalived themselves. One was gun violence. And the gun violent one, he had a contract on him. I was like, how you have a contract on you? What are you doing to get a contract? So so I lost. Mentally, that just really messed me up. But all I can do is teach. All I can do is educate. All I can do is inspire. All I can do is, I can tell you, these things I didn't do I did some of these things when I was in school, but I was terrible at it. Fractions, please. Word problems, hell no, I ain't doing that. But because I had that struggle, I was able to bond with my kids. I'm able to bond with people that want to give up. And I'm like, no, don't let the pressure do it. Stick with it. Okay? Try to learn it. Try to understand it. Let's try to break it down. Let's pass that test so now you can do what you want to do. You no longer have to feel trapped. Now you are free. And now that whole thing called math phobia, you don't have anymore, and you're not passing it on to your kids. So let me talk to the parents. You can do the math. You can try to help your kid at best. And when you get to a certain point, call me. Contact me, because it's either I'm going to work with your child and you're going to be like, what happened to my baby? Now he's doing math that there's all letters. There's no numbers. How are they doing all that? Okay? Because I know what I'm doing. All right? I'm good at what I do. But that whole thing of math phobia is not genetic. Okay? Don't say, oh, well, my mom wasn't good at math and that means I'm not good at math and then my children ain't going to be good at math. Shut up. Okay? It's depending on that drive and determination. Okay? If you want it and you really want it, let me help you. So if you think that over the summer, like when I say over the summer, I want to start in June and go all the way to at least get you ready for that October's test. Because that's going to give you time. We're probably going to meet like 4 times a week. Like I'm telling you, full on dedication. So if that sounds like something that can be beneficial, go ahead and DM me. That would work. If you know someone that this will be perfect for, again, DM me. And then we'll see if we can have a nice little chit chat. Okay? All right. So this all I have for today. Oh, thank you for all the likes. Over 100K. 10K. Psh, I did not deserve that. But this is why I teach. Okay? Regardless of how people are trying to change the Department of Education, the teachers are the ones that keeps things moving. Please, rules have changed so much for us. But no matter what, 2 plus 2, 2 times 2, 2 squared, it still gives you 4. Okay? So it's up to, if you're a teacher, continue doing what you need to do for your children, for your kids, because they're not going to remember a policy. They're going to remember you. They're going to remember what you did for them. And you might be that changing factor in their life that carries them throughout their lives. And it's beautiful when you see them with their own families and they're hitting their marks and they're just like, look, I had a hard stop at one point, but now I'm building myself up. And it's so beautiful to see. And I get emotional when I see my kids doing well. But, so, that's my 2 cents. I said it. Not looking for change. I am looking for change, but change in your attitude. You guys can do it. All right? So, I will be here tomorrow night. Tomorrow is what? Thursday? My goodness. I just can't keep up. All right, so tomorrow I will be here at 9:30. Actually, 9:45. It's going to be a late one. It's definitely going to be a late one because I have a late student. So it will be at 9:45. I totally forgot what I'm going to be doing, but I think it might be more review with the Matrix. But if not, I forgot what I said I was going to do. But I'm going to do some kind of math. It might be a hodgepodge. Hodgepodge are always fun. You never know what's going to come out. All right. But if you have any suggestions, you're like, Audrey, I got a test on Friday. Can you do this? If it's calculus, no, we're not doing that. I am not calculus. No. No. I probably could, but I don't have the brain power at the end of the night. So again, 9:45 tomorrow night. Friday, it will be at 1 p.m. It's only during the day. And I might pop in on a Saturday and Sunday. Those are usually my wild cards. You know, I might do like a little pop up and be like, oh, one of my kids was struggling with this. Let me help you with that. All right. Alrighty. Thank you. Chaz, you're awesome. It's been a minute. I'm hoping you're doing all right. Yeah, so good night, everyone. I hope you guys are going to do well. Please follow me. And if you have questions, please don't hesitate to just ask. Okay? I can just give you my expertise. And remember, if it's not me, it's a couple other people. And, almost forgot, speaking of other people, if you are thinking about going into nursing, make sure you follow a blessed RN. She's a good resource to help you with your doses calculations. If you're going into the T's, the ASVAB, the GED, and you don't want me anymore, that's fine. You can have Miss Evelyn. She usually goes on at 1 p.m., I think Monday through Friday, if I'm not mistaken, but that's Central Time. If you're on the East Coast, that will be at 2 p.m. And she's Impact Math 19. If you need a chemistry teacher, make sure you check out Professor TK. And if you want to learn how to use the abacus, how to add, subtract, multiply, divide, make sure you hit up with my girl Learning with Lynette. She is always on, like always. So it's like she goes on at least 3 times a day. Like, it's amazing. So make sure you hit up with her, learn how to do the abacus. It'll be great for adults to learn it. Cool way to do it because you can use the abacus on the SAT. You don't have to use it for a calculator. Just saying. All right. Okay, everyone. Have a lovely evening, and I will see you tomorrow night. Take care. Bye now.